Next up, we've got over $1 trillion in tax cuts. That's how much the bill passed by the House to replace Obamacare. It's going to save the American people. The House bill abolishes numerous taxes imposed by President Obama and the Democrats to pay for their top-heavy, big government Obamacare Act of 2010. Joining me now is Americans for Tax Reform President Grover Norquist. Grover, now, Grover, we know Democrats never met a tax they did not like. But remember back in 2008 when then presidential candidate Barack Obama, he kept promising he's not going to raise any taxes on Americans earning less than $250,000 a year, and then he broke that promise with Obamacare. You think Republicans can fix that, kind of rectify those tax hikes?
That is exactly what this bill does. We all know that he said you could keep your doctor. That wasn't true. That your premiums would go down. That wasn't true. The lie that he told more than any other was that he would never raise any Americans' taxes of any kind if they earn less than $250,000 a year. Obamacare is about 18 or 19 taxes, and they took a stethoscope and stapled it to the top of it and called it Obamacare. It's $1 trillion over a decade, $1 trillion of taxes. It's a tax on prescription medicine, on medical devices. So when you're getting health care, they're taxing the inputs. Tax on hospitals. It's a tax on your insurance, which does what? Makes your insurance costs go up. It's 8 million people get hit by a tax to punish them because they didn't want to buy Obamacare. So they say, okay, we're going to steal your money and punish you. You don't get health care. You get nothing for it except punished. So there are a whole series of tax hikes that they put into this that raise the cost of hospitals, of health insurance itself. If you have a flexible savings account, about 30 million Americans do, they tax that more than ever before. Health savings accounts, things get taxed as you try and get your money out of that. These are tens of millions of middle-class Americans. If you are so sick that you spend 10% of your income on health care, they tax you.
God,
that
Grover,
doesn't happen to rich people. That happens to lower-income people.
And the issue is that there was never a lockbox. Remember Al Gore talking about that lockbox? Never a lockbox for all the money raised from those taxes. It looks like the government just went ahead and spent it on whatever and didn't lower costs for people hit by Obamacare, right?
Well, we were told that this was going to lower costs and people were not going to go to emergency rooms. And we were told a lot of things, and almost none of them were true. And one of the big lies that they weren't going to be taxes on middle-income people is both exposed and fixed. That is one of the things that is fixed with this bill. If a bill like this passes the Senate, all of the Obamacare trillion-dollar taxes will go away, and that will reduce the cost of hospitals and drugs and operations and medical devices because they're all taxed to cost more by Obamacare, which was supposed to do the opposite.
Who's going to benefit most from these tax cuts, Grover?
Well, it depends which ones you want to look at. If you're badly hurt because you're spending more than 7.5% of your personal income on health care, they took away your ability to deduct those costs to pay for Obamacare. So they taxed the sickest and the lowest income people to put money into Obamacare. I think those people are the ones who are in the most trouble, the most damaged by Obamacare. People trying to save in flexible savings accounts and health savings accounts. Those people will have a little foot off the throat on that. And people just trying to buy non-prescription drugs or prescription drugs will find their cost reduced because those taxes are taken away. They tax hospitals, for crying out loud. So it's everybody. The reason there are 19 of them is it didn't want you to look at it and see one tax and how obvious it was. But I suppose the biggest winners are the 8 million people who said Obamacare is a bad idea for me, and I will pay you not to force me to do Obamacare.
All right. Thank you,
Grover.
Grover.
They got nothing.